Well, we're here at the Academy Sports and Outdoors, the CCA workbench. And you know, Dave, I love rigs and techniques each week. So what do we got for the triggers?
I think I just put that thing right through my finger.
Oh, flounders. Flounders. I'm still stuck on
We're talking about
triggerfish.
because those triggerfish are delicious. That's why, and flounder are delicious too, which is why we go fishing for them. You know, they're a flat fish. They live on the bottom and they stay on the bottom. So everything that we want to do to put down there to catch them, we want it to be pretty close to the bottom. Yeah. If they're in 2 feet of water or less, you can get away with putting a popping cork on and fishing a shrimp under a popping cork because it keeps the bait right there suspended above them. If you can keep whatever bait you're fishing within 2 feet of the bottom, you're gonna probably catch a flounder if he's sitting there because they're very aggressive fish.
Right.
You know, they have these really sharp canine teeth, like a dog's teeth, like needles in there actually. Right. And what they do is they're made to grab a bait fish, those teeth. They grab a bait fish and they'll try to kill it with those teeth instead of a lot of fish, will just swallow a whole bait. Most of the fish that we catch don't grab a bait first. They will just try to swallow it whole.
Correct.
Flounder will grab it and try to kill the bait before they swallow it. That's why we miss them a lot. Because we'll feel the bite and we'll just immediately set the hook.
And you snatch it away
and it
from
snatches it right out of his mouth because he hasn't swallowed it yet. And what we want to do is we want him to kill that bait, and if he feels comfortable, don't have any tension on the line, because if he feels that bait move from you moving your rod and reel or any tension on it, he thinks it's still alive and he will just keep chewing on it.
Makes sense.
And because he's not going to let it go if he thinks it's still alive, if he can still feel that wiggling of that fish. Mm-hmm. So he wants it to be stopped and still, and once he gets it stopped and still, then you can just let him eat it.
So what are the rigs we use for them?
Well, you know what? A Carolina rig. This is a bass rig actually, and it's a Carolina rig. And what it is a big weight and a nice swivel, and then 15 or 20 inches or 24 inches of fluorocarbon diamond leader, and a nice circle hook. Or a kale hook. I have some kales actually. You heard Tommy, you heard Patty talking about using a kale hook. Yes. Kale hook is really, it's a stretched out circle hook kinda, and what that does is it allows to get it in. That like we said before, his mouth has got a lot of teeth and whatnot in it, and that longer circle, it's kind of like an elongated circle hook, will get down in there a little quicker and better. And when it comes to the corner, it'll hook up that. Get through all those teeth and hook them. So, you can use any of these, if you don't want to use, if you go out and buy a Carolina rig, you can just make your own. Again, use a nice double diamond swivel, a ball bearing swivel, not a barrel swivel. Right. Because if you're wanting to, once you get these things out there, you're wanting to drag them slowly, real slow across the bottom. Patience is a virtue when you're flounder fishing. If you're either letting it sit in a place or you're dragging it really, really slow across the bottom, because they like to eat things that are moving. I use pompano jigs quite a bit when I'm targeting flounder. I've even caught a couple with Patty. We get into a place near an inlet where there are some boat docks or some pilings, or there's a place where a boat sits a lot and it's not in there right now, and you can see a nice big depression in there. That's a great place to try to. Flounders like to hang out under boats. Yeah. And they like to hang out under, buoys. Any place where there's a big lump of something in a current, they like to get around it and hang around it. Wrecks offshore, and especially now or in the fall when they start to come in closer, they'll be all around those inlets, all around the rocks, and sitting down real close to the bottom, obviously, and waiting for those big flocks of little mullet to come by. They really love mullet. They really love to eat little shrimps. Anything that
most of the time I've caught them when I was up in Tommy's region, the Northeast region, up there pre-fishing in the fall for a redfish tournament.
Right.
And I would be fishing a jig head like this with a fish bite shrimp or a paddle tail of sorts, and I would see them pop the mud minnows as they were draining out of the creeks, and you would throw to the pop, and immediately boom,
right?
Because
they're
but
very
most of the time
aggressive.
you're correct. I would miss them because I'd feel the bite and immediately set the hook, and he's down there holding on to it. You'd see him they'd pop and kind of halfway come out of the water, and you'd see that flash.
I've never even seen them do that. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to use any of the bucktail jigs as well. You put a shrimp on a bucktail. You put a shrimp on just a plain bare jig head. Just a regular fish finder rig.
Right.
You catch a lot of flounders with that. Again, you got to let them eat that shrimp. You can't be real quick on the strike, or you'll miss a lot of them. Right now, they'll off the big wrecks, a big pilchard on a really big bucktail. A big bucktail and a whole pilchard pinned on his chin. They will eat that, and those big flounders are the ones you're going to catch on those wrecks right now.
Very good, Mr. Farrell. I'm so
I love to
glad
catch
to be
them.
back learning
Look at
here at the
you.
workbench.
In your